Hello from the forest, where I'm straddling a sycamore, a beautiful sycamore tree. And there's some gorgeous willows down this way. You can see them. And a very pretty rock up there. And can we see them? Peter and Rosalind. Good morning and happy almost full moon in Libra during this Aries season. The full moon is this Saturday and I plan on doing a sweat with a bunch of women, which I'm pretty excited about. I wanted to come to you to tell you the value of beginning to understand our own seasons and our own cycles and how we go through them and what they look like. And of course, part of that can even be thinking back and looking back, okay, what was happening for me during April this time last year? And then what about the year before and the year before? And beginning to look at all of the seasons like that. And what's helped me do it the most over the past year? Sure, I'm an author and I'm writing a book and I have a YouTube channel. Also, recording myself, whether in writing, screenshots even of inspirational things I receive, each day, video, voice recording. It's become a really powerful exercise in being able to authentically express myself because there's nothing that I can't say to myself, whether writing or speaking. And also being able to go back and look at, oh my goodness, this is what was going on at that time last year. And a similar thing was going on at the same time the year before and the year before. Maybe these are natural seasons and cycles that I go through each year or each month or through each relationship or through each loss or after each up-leveling, if that makes sense. So for instance, for me, the full moon in Libra last year, I did my first ever sort of sacred kind of full moon ceremony for the first ever great horned owl I found on the side of the road. And that kind of kicked off a huge theme into the year for me with natural gathering and honoring and ceremony with plants and animals and places and spirits of all kinds. And that was the last full moon in Libra. And then it was the full moon in Scorpio that I left Cody, Wyoming to really, I feel, begin in earnest or physicality the wild way home and living in my van last year. And so it's like, what does the full moon in Scorpio have in store for me this year? But that'll be a month from now. And I wanted to show you guys, I just like the look of the textures. Isn't this a great shirt? My dear friend was going to get rid of it, and I thought it was just too good. Also, this sweater is from Peru. It's about 12 years old. And this is from my dear friend Kesia. It has a blue heron on it. So, and I'm wearing one of my mom's barrettes. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. It's also changed the way I talk to myself, to record myself. I listen to recent recordings, and I'm like, wow, I just love talking to myself. I love having myself to talk to. I love having a friend to help me through these hard times. And I have been through some hard times, leaving a relationship that I was in for the past 2 months, leaving a place that was really wonderful and yet not quite what I want. Becoming clear and honest about what I want and becoming both more magical and practical about how to get there and receiving exactly the abundance I need, just like last year, receiving exactly the abundance I need, exactly when I'm willing to, as Brene Brown says, choose courage over comfort, choose raw expression and authenticity over being quiet and shutting down and putting up a wall. Oh, and yes, might I mention, when you start being yourself and living into your values, there will be challenges. Not everyone is going to like what you're doing, and that's normal. For me, it's been a process of, as I learn to trust myself by conversations with friends and a lot of conversations with myself of just absolute raw, nothing but honest, because it's not about what anyone else thinks. I really want to write down exactly what I'm feeling and thinking and experiencing and seeing and noting. I've found that through those and listening to those and really dedicating myself to that kind of honesty in my dialogue with myself, I trust myself more. And I trust myself to be able to see what it is that I want and don't want. Where it is that I do and do not want to be. What matters to me. And it's really hard. And a book I just finished reading was The Color Purple. For those of you who have read it, it's so phenomenal. I hope my cousin doesn't... Oh, wait, it's already her birthday. I don't know if she's received her package yet, though, but I got it from sent it to my cousin after I finished it as a birthday present. And two of the really kind of celebrated characters in that book, Shug and Sophia, are these very strong female characters who cannot be told what to do. They can't be shut up. They can't be held down. Celie is the main character, and she kind of goes from being very controllable, in many senses a servant or even a slave, really, to making her own way, expressing herself, being strong, all these things. But along the way, there's going to be a lot of difficulty in that. And I say it's important to come to know to trust yourself and what you want, because then you can know who to trust feedback from. So I say this because, for instance, I found out that at my recent job as an outfitter, where I was really trying to practice the values that I was learning in Brené Brown's Dare to Lead, that had to do with having the courage for direct communication and expression, asking questions, and being a leader in whatever way you can. And it didn't always go well in that environment. And so realizing that I am going to live into my values, and if those don't fit in an environment, then it's up to me to practically figure out, and also to miraculously trust, how I will be able to move to the next place that might be a better fit for the kind of environment that I want and I'm looking for. And it's scary and it's hard and there's uncertainty and miracles happen and you are supported, and also it's fucking scary. I just want to acknowledge that. But for me, I recently found out that at that job, which this was never directly said to me, which could have been interesting or helpful, but that, part of the reason that I was not hired back was for being too outspoken and too strong of a personality. And I think in ways probably that could have come across as undermining, and I take accountability for things that I could have done better, absolutely. And I think it's a difficult thing to try and practice leadership values when you're not necessarily in the leadership position. And where is that authenticity? For me, a big part of what I felt I was trying to do was when people are in an organization, and Brené Brown talks a lot about this, when people are talking a lot of shit, but not to who they need to talk to, that's really toxic. But it's because there aren't channels where they can authentically, directly, freely have feedback with leadership and not get punished. And so I felt like I was voicing things that everyone was talking about, but no one would say to the leader. But then it came off as I was outspoken or questioning this person. Well, so again, when I find this out, here I go reeling back into my old insecurities of I'm too much. I've been called outspoken since I was a little girl. I'm too strong. I'm too dominant. I'm too all of these things. And then I'm like, you know what? No, I trust who I am, that this is authentically me. And maybe it is too much or too outspoken for a lot of people. That doesn't mean I'm too outspoken. That means I'm not going to stay in a place where I feel like I have to shut up to be accepted. And I've come to trust myself in that. Like, I'm not going to go into the shame cave of, I'm too outspoken, I'm too strong, I just need to learn to shut up and work for people who won't let me be myself like everyone else has to and just hate life. Like, I'm not going to live like that, because that's not authentically me. And there's nothing wrong with it. We all want what we want. That's why finding out what we want is so powerful, and recording and talking to ourselves or friends or therapists or safe and supportive others helps us do that. It's helped me do that. And so it was really beautiful. It was still hard. I was still with friends during this processing and was still like, man, that sucks. It's taking me back to all this pain and all of this self-judgment and, am I a failure? Do I just need to learn to shut up? But between the color purple and trusting myself and my own voice, I'm like, no, this is really just a matter of, and I had already known that. I had already left that job, but it was a confirmation of like, I really don't want to be in a place where the price for being there is not being myself. And I trust myself that although I may be strong and outspoken, I am really trying to develop humility and emotional intelligence and resilience and communicative skills to help communicate maybe the strong things I have to say in a way that is also supportive of the other party. And I'm certainly not perfect at that yet. I have a lot to learn and I have a long ways to go, and I'm willing and I want to talk about it. And if you don't want to talk about it, then I don't think we want the same things. And it was kind of the same with my relationship, because I really desire just curiosity and just the ability to say anything and not take it personally. And I don't think I've ever really been in a relationship like that before. So I'm learning too, and it's a steep learning curve. But again, instead of feeling like there's something wrong with me, I'm realizing, no, I actually am just realizing what I want. Every situation in life is asking me, is this what you want? And it's like, ooh, almost. And maybe I'll keep these things, but no. And I'm going to trust to move on. And as I do, I'm supported along the way. And that is pretty miraculous. And I just want to tell you that that's going to happen for you too. I don't know how, but you are supported. That is the message that I feel like I'm here to say to you, because I am doing it and I know how fucking scary it is. And and money is always a thing. And I'll just tell you, it is an absolute intersection of the miraculous with the practical. And I have learned so much about money by not having very much of it, and by needing to take accountability for it in my own way and show myself that I can support myself. But guess what? In learning to support myself, I find that actually the way I support myself is being transparently, openly, authentically, communicatively connected. Being connected to a support network. And that's actually how I take accountability and find support and sustainability for myself, is through connections with others. But more and more, little by little, they become connections with others who value me and who want to support me because of who I really am, not who I think I have to be in order to maintain their support. And you know what? If I'm outspoken, then great. I shall find supportive communities, and I am, where I am valued for my authentic expression, which some would call outspoken, for my directness, which some would call uncomfortable. And I would rather be courageous than comfortable, and be supported by people who see that my courage, authenticity of expression, and my courage to do that is what's worth supporting in me, rather than feeling like, sure, I'm going to be supported by people at the cost of not saying what I really think, not being who I really am, and being afraid that all of that could be taken away from me at any moment without direct communication of why that happened. And just surrounding ourselves more and more. It's kind of like, as a reflection, the more supportive we become toward ourselves, almost like in the inner community of ourselves and every part of ourselves, and actually like realizing who we are, what we want, what we like, what we don't like, what we don't want, what we are not, that maybe we've been putting on for a time or anything like that. Realizing all those things and then accepting them and voicing them and expressing them. And as we do, we can't help but want and need that in our relationships and see that that's possible. We don't want, and so they drop away, or we leave them, relationships where the trade-off was I be this fake self, or don't express myself, or pretend that everything's okay when it's not, or walk around on eggshells in exchange for whatever support or safety or comfort or just the known worldness that you're giving me. We don't want that anymore. We want support for the very best of us. And we can only show the very best of us when we show the very truest of us and the very most authentic. And that's a journey to remember. And when you take that leap to say, no, I'm going to live life true, even if that means I have to leave all these comfortable and seemingly supportive, but really probably constrictive and repressive things behind. And there's that leap that you take. And I believe that if we really take that genuinely in our heart of hearts, even though it's scary as fuck, but to say, it's more important to be myself and be true to me than to do what I think other people want or say or try to control me to do. Because once I'm myself, that's how I can truly, and the only way I can authentically serve others. When we say that and we take that leap, it's really scary, and it seems like we've left everything behind that ever supported us, that ever made us feel safe, that we ever knew. And yet, as soon as we take that leap, moment by moment, stop by stop, step by step along the way, support comes to us. And we realize we always, this is a big part of therapy that I've learned. One of the most biggest things you can show yourself, we always have more options than we think we do. Even just letting yourself know that, even just maybe you're not ready to take the leap. Maybe it's not even that season for you or anything like that. April is the season of leaps for me. So I'm getting ready for another one. But no matter what, even if you're staying put, just realizing like, oh yeah, there are other things I could do. There are other ways that life could look. There are other options than what I've told myself or been told by the people around me are my only options. There's more. There's more. You are more. You matter. And as Glennon Doyle would say, wasn't life supposed to be more beautiful than this? And it can be. And you're in the process of that blooming and that blossoming right now. And how life becomes more beautiful is first you rediscovering what beauty means to you and feels like to you in your life. And then little by little, more and more, standing up for that internal beauty, finding it, fighting for it, accepting it, flowing to it on the outside, the more it blossoms on the inside. If that makes sense. So happy full moon in Libra, and may you look to see how the fruitions of this season compare with the fruitions of last season and the seasons before, and may you record some things, write some things down, voice record, video some things to look back on and begin to have your own diary and log and history and story of yourself to look at, listen to, trust, know that you can say anything to, and just be witnessed and seen by. It's been really powerful for me, so maybe it will be for you too. Maybe not. Till next time.